Right. Let me grab your ear for a sec, because what I've got for you today could change the entire shape of Celtic summer. Brendan's got a striker conundrum on his hands, but there are two familiar faces who could be the answer. And one of them's already haunted Ibrox more times than you've had fish suppers. Then we've got the truth behind Kyogo's shock exit, straight from Rodgers himself. Turns out it wasn't just about goals, mate. There's more going on than meets the eye. And lastly, don't even blink, I'm gonna tell you about the lad Celtic are eyeing who could be the next Moussa Dembele. A £10 million baller for a fraction of the price. And I'm not messing about. This could be huge. So stay right there, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you bleed green and white, and don't miss the last story, because it might just be the biggest transfer twist of the window. Right. Pull up a chair and let's get stuck into this striker situation. Because you know as well as I do that if there's one position Celtic need to absolutely nail this summer, it's that number 9 role. Brendan's already said it, we all saw it in January, and it was glaringly obvious in that cup final defeat. You need firepower. Real, ruthless, relentless firepower. Now look, Dyson Maeda, bless him, was a revelation, 34 goals. He was meant to be a winger, for crying out loud. Then you had Ida and Kuhn doing their bit, and even young Johnny Kenny getting a sniff. But for a club our size, dreaming of European progression and domestic dominance, that's not enough. We're not here to scrape through. We're here to smash the door down. So here's the juicy bit. Two familiar names being thrown back into the mix. Kyogo Furuhashi and our Bojan Miovski. Let's start with Kyogo, a wee wizard, the ghost at the near post. 85 goals in green and white, a derby destroyer. The man won us cups on his own at time. And he might have frustrated Brendan occasionally with his link-up play, but no one in paradise can forget what he did for us. If you're telling me you wouldn't take him back after watching that cup final, then you need to lie down. But, and it's a big but, he's 30 now, has a dodgy shoulder that's been needing surgery since he left, and Ren couldn't get a tune out of him. That sparkle he had at Paradise? Sometimes, when it's gone, it stays gone. And remember, Rodgers isn't Ange. He won't build the team around him like the Aussie did. Then you've got Miovski, a total pain in the backside when he played against us. 18 goals in a car crash of a season at Aberdeen. Then another 26 the year after. A proper Premiership poacher. And at 25, with international pedigree and a bit of hunger to prove himself after a rotten year in Spain. That's not a punt. That's a project. He's younger, cheaper, still got something to prove, and he's not too far off Kyogo's old goals-per-game ratio when he's confident and playing regularly. But pace? That's the red flag. Brendan likes his strikers quick. Miovski's clever, but he's no burner, and that could be a problem in Europe, where you've not got the same time and space as you do at Rugby Park. So here's the million-pound question for you, and don't bottle it. Would you bring Kyogo back, risking the nostalgia gamble? Or is it time to back Miovski and build for the next 5 years? Because Rodgers has history bringing ex-players home. But this time, sentiment alone won't win us trophies. Would you go backwards for magic or forwards for potential? Right, let's talk about the Kyogo situation. Because now that the season's wrapped up and the medals are polished, Brendan's come out and said exactly what was going on behind the scenes with our former number 8. Now cast your mind back. First derby of the season. Kyogo does what Kyogo does. Buries one past that lot with his usual cheeky grin. The crowd's bouncing, Paradise is buzzing, and if I'd told you back then that by January he'd be packing his bags for Rennes, you'd have laughed me right out of the pub. But here we are. Rodgers, speaking to Sky in that Another Season in Paradise piece, has lifted the lid a bit. Apparently, Kyogo made it clear months in advance, quietly, professionally, that he fancied a move. Nothing dramatic, no strops, just head down, still scoring goals, but knowing his time was ticking. Brendan said he was focused right up to the end, and I believe that. He never gave less than his all in the shirt. But here's the part I think you need to clock. Rodgers didn't seem angry about it. He almost sounded understanding. Because when a player signs for Celtic nowadays, they know the deal. Come in, shine bright under the lights, win a few trophies, taste the Champions League, and if a bigger wage packet comes calling, the door might not be locked. Rodgers even said it himself. They don't come to leave Celtic for a bigger club, because there isn't one. But they leave for bigger wages, more money, different lifestyles. That's the player trading model, and it's why lads like Kyogo, Jota, and maybe even Hatate are drawn here in the first place. So here's what I want to ask you, and be brutally honest now. Does it still sit right with you that players treat Celtic like a stepping stone? Or should we be building a squad that actually wants to stay for the long haul? Because the models work financially, but emotionally, that's a different story. What do you reckon? All right, sit tight, because this one's got the scent of a classic Parkhead heist written all over it. Brendan might be cooking up something familiar, and I mean Moussa Dembele familiar. You remember that deal, right? Fulham thought they were being clever letting Dembele's contract run down, and we swooped in, gave them a weak compensation fee, and then watched the lad rip it up in the hoops. 51 goals later, we sold him for nearly 20 million quid. Thank you, Lion. Off you pop. Now fast forward to today, and guess who's on the radar? Tyrus Dolan, Blackburn Rovers winger, just 23 and out of contract. Blackburn want 10 million for him, but because of cross-border rules, we'd get him for buttons. Rodgers is licking his lips at this one, and I don't blame him. He's not just a stats merchant either. 7 goals, 6 assists, key passes all over the park, and that was with Blackburn stinking the place up in mid-table. Imagine what he could do in a side like ours, dominating possession and racking up goal chances like the Pies at halftime. This lad could flourish in paradise. And here's the kicker. Even if it doesn't work out, it's another low-risk, high-reward play, just like Dembele was. But if it does click, that's another player we turn from a freebie into a multi-million-pound baller, all while he's banging them in at Ibrox and making their backline cry harder than a Sashi Hall Street hangover. So now here's the question I'm throwing at you. Is Tyrus Dolan the next Dembele-level coup for Celtic, or are we romanticizing a championship player who might not cut it under the bright lights of paradise? I want your verdict, because this could be the summer move that either makes us stronger or reminds us Dembele-level signings. Don't come twice. What do you reckon?